When Russia first announced its robotic tank project, it was presented as a game changer. Putin himself called it a demonstration of Russia's superiority in artificial intelligence and combat innovation. The idea was simple yet bold: to create unmanned, fully autonomous tanks capable of identifying, targeting, and destroying enemies without risking the lives of Russian soldiers. The concept sounded futuristic, like something out of a sci-fi movie. But as it turns out, the dream didn't just fail, it crashed spectacularly. The centerpiece of this failure was the Uran-9, Russia's unmanned ground combat vehicle. It was unveiled to much fanfare in 2018, during a time when Russia was eager to showcase its military modernization efforts. On paper, the Uran-9 looked impressive. It was armed with a 30mm automatic cannon, machine guns, anti-tank missiles, and even grenade launchers. The propaganda claimed it could operate independently in the most dangerous battlefields, using its sensors and onboard computer systems to make tactical decisions. However, reality hit hard when the Uran-9 was actually deployed in Syria. The battlefield was supposed to be its grand test, a chance for Russia to prove to the world that its technology could dominate modern warfare. Instead, what happened was a complete embarrassment. The Uran-9 reportedly broke down repeatedly, lost contact with its operators, and failed to hit targets accurately. Instead of showcasing Russian innovation, it exposed the country's technological weaknesses. Reports from Russian military analysts were brutally honest. They described how the Uran-9 could only operate effectively within a very short distance from its human controllers. Whenever it moved beyond that range, it lost communication entirely. The supposed autonomous capabilities were practically useless. It couldn't navigate complex terrain, it couldn't identify threats properly, and at times it even failed to fire when ordered. One report even mentioned that the vehicle's sensors couldn't distinguish between friendly forces and enemies, a terrifying flaw that made it dangerous to use on any battlefield. For the Kremlin, this was not just a technical setback, it was a humiliation. Russia had built an entire image around being a global military superpower, capable of matching or even surpassing Western nations like the United States in advanced weaponry, but the Uran-9 incident shattered that illusion. Instead of looking powerful, Russia looked desperate, struggling to modernize with outdated engineering and unreliable technology. Behind the scenes, sources claimed that the project was plagued by corruption, rushed deadlines, and poor quality components. As with many Russian military programs, a huge chunk of the budget reportedly disappeared into the pockets of officials and defense contractors. Corners were cut, tests were falsified, and by the time the robot tank was sent to Syria, it was nowhere near ready for real combat. The result was predictable failure on every front. International observers quickly caught on to the fiasco. Military experts from NATO and the United States analyzed the footage and performance reports from Syria, and they couldn't believe how poorly the system worked. What Russia had boasted as the future of warfare turned out to be nothing more than an unreliable toy. It was clear that the country's technological infrastructure simply wasn't ready to support such an advanced project. To make matters worse, Russian state media had hyped the Uran-9 as an unstoppable killing machine. They showed it rolling through city ruins, firing weapons, and operating autonomously in glossy propaganda videos. But after the Syrian disaster, those same videos became subjects of ridicule online. Analysts and social media users mocked how far Russia's real capabilities were from its grand promises. Memes flooded the internet, showing the Uran-9 stuck in mud or malfunctioning mid-battle, turning Russia's proudest achievement into a laughingstock. Putin's embarrassment grew when comparisons started being made with Western and even Chinese robotics programs. The United States, for instance, has been testing semi-autonomous ground vehicles for years, with more success and less hype. Unlike Russia, Western nations invested heavily in reliable AI systems, communication security, and precision engineering. Meanwhile, Russia's approach seemed to prioritize showmanship over substance, an old Soviet habit of pretending to be ahead while secretly lagging behind. The failure of the Uran-9 also reflects a deeper problem in the Russian military-industrial complex. Despite Putin's repeated promises of modernization, much of the system still operates under Soviet-era principles, bureaucratic, inefficient, and riddled with corruption. Engineers and scientists often lack the resources and freedom to innovate, as decisions are driven by politics rather than practicality. Many of the younger generation's brightest minds have already left Russia, seeking opportunities abroad, leaving behind an aging workforce that struggles to keep up with modern demands. Even after the failure in Syria, Russia did not give up entirely on its robotic ambitions. Officials claimed they would fix the problems, upgrade the systems, and develop a new version of the Uran 9 with improved autonomy and reliability. But years later, there's still little to show for it. The supposed upgraded versions have rarely been seen in public, and no major field tests have proven any real improvement. It's as if the project quietly disappeared into the shadows, another forgotten dream of Russian military superiority. Interestingly, the failure also highlights how propaganda has become more important to the Kremlin than actual progress. Instead of acknowledging the flaws, state media continue to promote Russia as a leader in artificial intelligence and robotics. They released new animations and concept designs talking about next-generation unmanned vehicles that would soon dominate the battlefield, but behind the flashy graphics, there's little evidence of real innovation. It's the same pattern seen in many other Russian projects, from hypersonic missiles to stealth aircraft grand announcements, followed by silence or failure. For Putin, this robot tank disaster strikes at the heart of his image. He has long portrayed himself as the commander of a technologically advanced military that could challenge the West. Every time Russia unveils a new weapon, it's not just about defense, it's about projecting power and prestige. But when those projects fail, it undermines that very image. The Uran 9 became a symbol of overconfidence and incompetence, showing that beneath the propaganda, Russia's military modernization is built on shaky foundations. Even within Russia, the criticism has been impossible to ignore. Military bloggers who once supported the war and the Kremlin's policies have openly mocked the Uran 9's failures. They question how billions of rubles could be wasted on something that doesn't even work properly. Some experts have gone as far as to say that the project should have been scrapped entirely, as it provides no tactical advantage and only exposes Russia's lack of innovation. The humiliation extends beyond just one machine. The robot tank was meant to represent a broader shift toward automated warfare, something every major military power is pursuing. But Russia's failure to achieve even the basics puts it far behind in the global race for AI-driven combat systems. It's not just about the loss of prestige. It's about falling technologically behind in an era where automation and precision are becoming essential for modern warfare. What's even more ironic is that Russia continues to use the Uran 9 in its propaganda displays, parading it at military expos and exhibitions as if nothing ever went wrong. Visitors can see it standing proudly, painted in camouflage, with banners describing its autonomous capabilities. But those who know the truth understand that it's just a showpiece, a hollow machine representing an even hollower promise. The story of the Uran 9 and Russia's robot tank program serves as a warning about the dangers of arrogance in military development. When a nation focuses more on appearances than on genuine progress, failure becomes inevitable. Instead of investing in real innovation, Russia poured money into glorified prototypes meant to impress politicians and the media. The engineers and soldiers who knew the system's flaws were ignored, while the leadership demanded results that technology simply couldn't deliver. In the end, the so-called robot tank became a metaphor for Putin's broader military strategy: loud, aggressive, and ultimately unsustainable. The invasion of Ukraine has exposed similar weaknesses across Russia's armed forces: outdated equipment, logistical failures, and poor coordination. Just like the Uran 9, many of Russia's other advanced systems have failed to live up to their hype when faced with real combat conditions. Today, the world sees the truth behind the propaganda. The image of a powerful, unstoppable Russian war machine has been replaced by one of dysfunction and decay. The Uran 9 stands as a reminder that no matter how much a regime tries to manipulate perception, reality always catches up. Technology can't be faked, and innovation can't be built on lies. Putin may continue to boast about new weapons, new technologies, and new victories, but the cracks are already visible. Every failed project, every broken promise, and every humiliated demonstration erodes Russia's credibility further. The robot tank was supposed to lead Russia into the future. Instead, it exposed how far behind the country truly is. In a world where technology defines power, failure to innovate means failure to survive. While other nations push forward with real advancements in aid-driven warfare, Russia is stuck recycling broken dreams and outdated machinery. The robot tank disaster is more than just a failed experiment. It's a symbol of a collapsing system that can no longer hide behind its own propaganda. So, as the world laughs at what was once Russia's pride, one thing is clear: the myth of unstoppable Russian technology has finally been shattered. Putin's humiliation isn't just about one tank. It's about an entire military machine built on illusion, exposed for what it truly is. And in the unforgiving world of modern warfare, illusions don't win battles. Technology, truth, and transparency do. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Russia's failed robot tank project, make sure to stay tuned for more insights into global military developments and the stories behind the headlines.